Hello. So, what's the date? January 15th. We are well into the January. And January is known as, it's always the month where people have New Year's resolutions. And because we are in a culture that's basically taught that dissatisfaction with our natural bodies is almost fashionable, normal, I guess, all those things. Because we're in a culture that teaches us that, then naturally what happens is people go like, well, my resolution is to restrict food and starve my body so I could be thinner. And the kind of slightly amusing and a very depressing sort of way about that is that it's been not working for years. It's been not working for many people for a really long time, and yet still every January it's like, I've got to join a gym and start restricting food. And it's really fascinating how once a belief system is formed in a culture, because this is a cultural belief, right, that thinner is better. Once that's formed in a culture, that culturally humans act in a way which is actually very stupid. And that's sort of how belief systems work, though, that once a belief system has been formed, then the brain protects that belief system and doesn't see things that may counter that belief system. So once this belief system culturally has formed that if you restrict food and work out a lot, then you will be healthier, then even if lots and lots of evidence to counter that is apparent, i.e. like diets don't work and things like that, and that people don't, once they lose weight originally, then they just gain more. Like we culturally can see this happening over and over again, yet it doesn't change the belief system because the brain ignores that. Anyway, okay. Alison says, hi Tabitha, how come I always end up losing the weight I gained even though I'm afraid of going to treatment? Well, it's probably because you're still restricting, isn't it? Or compulsively exercising, or any of the above. That would be why. I would hazard a guess. So stop doing those things and you'll probably find that you won't lose the weight. Chloe Grace, hi Tabs. Can things like going back to school, work trigger relapse or old eating disorder behaviors? Yeah, because that's how neural networks work, is that like neural networks are like association. So just think like word association, place association, emotional state association, environment association. And so what you'll find is that what happens is, say if you've not been at work for a while, then you walk into work and your brain goes like, oh, I know where we are. And when I'm here, I do these things. And some of those things are probably to do with your job. And some of those things are probably to do with your eating disorder. And so that's how it's autopilot, right? Can happen in different situations. And it's a bit like if you're driving a car and you start to drive a route that is one of the routes that you used to drive every day, and your brain just goes like, oh, I know when we drive down this road, we turn left at the end. And you turn left at the end, then you're like, fuck, I needed to go right. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Actually, your brain doing one of the things it's been designed to do. That's when we've done something repetitively one way, just to assume that, autopilot exists for a reason, so that we don't have to use as much brain energy. And so work, school, whatever it is, when you walk into that environment just triggers this, when I'm here, I do this. And so you have to be really careful in recovery. When you go back into environments, you might be doing really well and things like that. And then you go back to school and it all starts to fuck up. And that's because your brain's gone like, oh, I know what we do here. And your brain's just trying to be helpful. It's nothing. Your brain's not being malicious. Your brain's doing its job. You have to intercept and be like on the lookout for it. Be like, no, brain, actually, we're going to do things a little bit less disordered or a lot less disordered when I go back to work or when I go back to school. You just got to kind of like be a step ahead of it and look at it. Okay, when I go back to work, when I'm in this environment, what's all the disordered shit I do? And I've got to go back into that environment already decided that I'm not going to do any of that disordered shit. Can one be at the set point weight even though they have a BMI less than 18? I just, I guess, who cares? You've got to just, if you've got mental hunger, you're not set point weight. If you're restricting food, you're not at your set point weight. If you have compulsive exercise, you're not at your set point weight. So I feel like be less bothered about convincing yourself that you're at a set point weight and actually focus on mental state. DC Dank. Hi, Tabitha. What have you noticed about body dysmorphia in your clients? Does it ever go once it develops? Can you neurally rewire it? I think you can be neurally wired just about anything. Like, honestly, once you understand like the mechanisms behind what your brain's doing, you can start to, like, it's amazing actually. And the thing about neural rewiring is it's really difficult. It's like, I can't explain to you exactly how to neural rewire. I can use examples. I can try and use stuff and try and help you do that. But trying to verbally explain to somebody how to rewire something like body dysmorphia is a bit like verbally trying to explain to someone how to bend your finger. Like, if you try and explain finger, I don't know, I can't even do it. I don't even know where to start. I just say, bend your finger. But like, you're trying to explain to someone how to bend your finger. Like, well, it's just like, well, how do you explain to somebody how to operate those muscles? How do you explain to somebody how you made a signal go from your brain to pull the muscles in your finger? Like, it's just crazy. It's magic. It's fucking magic. That is magic. So because we just move, we move our bodies and move our muscles because we learned how to do that. And we learned how to do that when we were babies. And who knows why we decided, all of us decide when we're babies, I've got to learn to walk. That's incredible. We all do it. It's probably genetically wired in somewhere that when you're a baby, your biggest mission in life is to learn how to walk and how to learn how to talk and all of that stuff. But so it's a bit like with neural rewiring. The reason that you learn how to walk is because for whatever fucking reason, you have the intention, I'm going to get off my ass and I'm going to use that sofa to pull myself up. God damn it, if it kills me. You had that intention when you were a baby and you just kept on trying. And so if you have the intention, I'm going to rewire this fucking body dysmorphia. And if you keep on trying, you will work out how to do it. I promise you, because we're just amazing like that. Okay. Paulie, hi Tabs, is it normal to have mental hunger all the time? I just want to eat the whole day, but I'm afraid to fully respond to it. Well, no, it's not normal to have mental hunger the whole time, but it is normal to have mental hunger the whole time if you're in energy deficit. In the same, like that's, so no, like in fact, actually, but we're not talking about normal, are we? We're talking about an eating disorder in energy deficit. So when you're out of energy deficit, when you're recovered, you won't have mental hunger the whole time because your brain doesn't have to remind you that it's really fucking starving all the time because it's not starving anymore. But when you're in energy deficit, of course, mental hunger is normal because your brain's like, hello, we need food, asshole. And that's what it has to keep on doing. So yes, it's absolutely normal to have mental hunger the whole time if you're in energy deficit. And I hope that you will respond to your mental hunger and listen to it because your body knows what it's on about, and that you will eat yourself out of energy deficit, and then you will no longer have mental hunger the whole time. All right. One more. I'm trying to cut down on exercise. I find I can't sleep at night if I don't exercise. Any suggestions? Yes, use that time that you are not sleeping at night to eat, because that's probably what you really want to do. I think that a lot of people, when they're in recovery or still restricted, not in recovery, whichever way you want to look at it, but either or, we don't sleep very well. And that's because our body is prioritizing food over sleep. So you're probably lying awake at night with mental hunger thinking about food, I imagine. And that's because your body's prioritizing food over sleep. Now, when you're doing the exercise, I imagine what's happening is your migration brain's going like, wow, we're migrating. And because you're migrating, then your migration brain is like, and we don't have time to eat. So sometimes some people's brains, when they're doing the movement, they sleep at night. But then when you stop doing the movement, your brain's like, maybe we're no longer migrating and maybe there's food around. So God, I got to stay awake and eat all the food. Long story short, I don't even care why your brain's doing it. Ultimately, if you're lying awake and you even think that you might be thinking about food, use that time. The best use that you could use of that time when you're lying awake is to eat food. And it is absolutely not an excuse to exercise, because you won't recover if you're compulsively exercising. So what you need to do is stick with not compulsively exercising and make a rule that if you're awake at night, you're awake and you are eating. Okay. All right, guys, gotta go. Love you. Bye.